Hey folks, I just wanted to share with you really quickly what I did on the weekend just gone by. I sat down with a dear friend of mine and we basically asked each other a bunch of questions. And I want to share with you today what those questions are. And they helped us to design specifically our lifestyle and figure out what are the things and the pieces we want to get in there first before we have our personal finances and everything else dictate decisions for us. So this little process I'm about to share with you is a piece I like to use whenever I'm trying to get clear about where I want to head, or if I want to get clear about how I'm going to maximize my own personal freedom and joy and happiness and finances in a life that I really want to create. Now, I'm a busy guy, so like when I write these answers out, it's a very strict routine and lots of stuff in it, and I'll get into that and I'll show you. But if you want to really design like a low amount of hours a week, you can do that with this model. Or if you're a super busy person, this also works too for you to do clearer lifestyle design so you can have better routines and have the things you want around you, like good quality food and routines and morning routines and things like that. So let's get into it. Let me show you this model. It's very simple. Anyone can do it. So essentially all you want to do is you want to get a big sheet of paper and you want to draw for yourself a few simple diagrams. You're essentially just going to have four smiley faces, frowny faces. I'll talk you through them. So we have a smiley face, we have a straight face, we have a sad face, or sad, and then we have, again, a happy face finally. Now, what these things are, just to give you, and we draw it like a table around it. So we draw a big table here, and this gives us some columns to work in. It's really nice to have a big sheet of paper. Obviously, I'm blessed with this awesome art table, which I love. And you literally just have these four columns. Now, each of these four columns really represents something. So the first column is, what do we want? What is it like 2-3 years from now, if we're standing there looking back, what have we created? What's the life we've created? And I'll talk about the types of questions you can ask yourself in that column in a moment. The second one is what's it like now? What is it like right now? And so you look at where your life is right now and what it's like, and you basically ask the same set of questions that I'll show you here. Again, you ask the same questions, but you ask them in the context of now, not the future. Then this column is the gap. Like what's the distance between where you are right now and where you want to be in the future? And then finally, the most important one here is the next steps. So this is where you write down, what have you got to do to overcome that gap? What have you got to do to design the life you want, to get the personal freedoms and finance and routines and what do you got to do to destroy your goals and get where you want to go? So the types of questions you might ask yourself to begin with in this very first section, it probably took us, my friend and I, we sat down, it was something that took us like 30 minutes to fill out the first column. So this whole process, if you sit down and do it really deep, might take you 2 hours, right? And it's really nice to set that date with yourself where you can sit down for a couple of hours and really think about your life. And you can maybe do this once, twice, 3 times a year. You can do it quarterly, anything like that. And what it allows you to do is to just really go deep on where you're at, what you want, figure out the distance between where you are right now and where you want to be, and then figure out clear next steps. It's just a great tool. So let's get into column number 1. What is it I want? So when you talk about this, you want to ask yourself questions like, how much money do I want to be earning per year? Where do I want that money? Where does that money come from? Like, does it come from a job? Does it come from passive investments? Does it come from, my share portfolio? Where does it come from? And detailed, like write it out in detail. Like I want to earn, like I'm just going to throw some numbers out here. So like someone might say, I want to earn $100,000 a year and I want 50,000 of that to come from my job and 50,000 of it to come from passive investments. So you write all these things out. And remember, this column is in the context of where you want to be 5 years from now. It's really important to make the wants column in the future because our brain can imagine a different future. It's hard to think of what we want next week or next month sometimes, but it's really easy to think about the future we want. So just paint a picture. Imagine you had a proverbial magic wand that could do anything and you were able to just make it up. So then you talk about like how many hours a week do you want to work? For me, I really actually love the idea of working as many hours as I can, as long as I have energy and longevity in my own life. I just want to go hard, I want to crush it. I want to be able to get, like 9 to 10 hours of really deep, amazing work, content, videos, meetings, goal setting, agenda stuff. Like I want to be able to build an amazing work life where it doesn't feel like work at all. That's important to me. But some people might only want to work like 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, and that's cool too. This is all about designing what you want. So then you check in with like, what does those days look like? So what do I fill my days with? Like what will an ideal day look like in that time period from here to now? And so you craft out like, you've got a morning routine, you go and you have a coffee with a friend, maybe first thing, if you're a social character, or if you're a business person, maybe you go in and you do your work startup routine and you have a meticulous set around that. Or you can design this any way you want, really. It's very, 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 very easy to just paint this column with anything you want. You could put in here your relationships, you could put your health, you could put your, the spiritual things you want to be doing in the time. Whatever it is, you can just fill this column up with your wants and paint a very clear picture. So when you get to the end of this column, you should ask yourself one important question, which is, what would having all of that give me? So once you've articulated everything, you've got it really clear, you've got to ask yourself this question, which is, what would having all of that give me? So what I like to do is actually read out the list of all the things I wrote down, like read out all of the wants, like read it out loud. So I want to earn this much, I want to work this many hours a day, my perfect day looks like this, blah, blah, blah. Like you read the whole thing out, right? Then you ask yourself the question, what would having that give me? Now, the reason for that is we've written out a whole bunch of stuff and we're going to get back into ourselves. And usually, as Robin Sharma would say, people are looking for JPF, joy, peace, and freedom in some way, shape, or form. So you want to really get down to the life you've designed is giving you something bigger and better than just the elements of it. So once we've got clear on that, we've got some goosebumps because we're like, yeah, that's the life we want. We're going to go to the next section, which is, what is it like right now? And this isn't going to be the same account. This is going to be a little bit more sad, right? So almost as sad as gap column, but not as bad. So here we're going to write down like the actual scenario of the dollars. Like what's the actual bottom line on it? We're going to capture where is all of our money right now? Where is it right now in the world, in our assets, in our savings? Where is all of it? We're going to write down how many hours. And basically what you do is you go through and you do the exact same questions you did in column 1. So as you fill out column 1, make sure you capture the questions so that in column 2, you can ask yourself the same questions again. Because what we're looking for here is a very clear understanding of how the two relate. So when we get to the gap column, literally, we have our answer already written for us because we just draw a big line across here and we can see that from here to here, there's a difference. So we will know that the difference between I want to earn 100K a year and right now I'm earning 60, the gap is 40K, right? In that scenario. So the thing is the gap column is about analyzing the difference between the two sets of answers you've given. So you're just writing down facts here again. So you want to, over here you said you wanted to work, 4 hours a day, right? If that's your thing, if that's your bag. For me, I'm way more insane than that. I want to work all the hours, but I don't want to call it work. Then the next column, if the reality is that you're working 9, then the gap is you're working 5 hours too many, right? So this gets us just really, really clear on where we're actually at. So we're clear on where we're at, we're clear on what the gap is. Now, the 4th column is where we sit in deep contemplation and we start to hack away and think about different ways we can do things. So this is where we just literally think of like, okay, I'm 40K shy of my goal. This is where we start to think in terms of strategy. But we want to make sure that the strategy maximizes the rest of the picture. So for example, to get 40K, it might be really, really easy for you to go get a second job. Like just pull in an extra 40K, that might be easy for you to get a second job to do that. However, you wouldn't be achieving your goal of, working 5 hours less. So that means that you literally have to think further and deeper into the strategy. So the next steps column really is about going in and thinking about new ways to achieve this. Now remember, this goal is 5 years away, so you've got some time to get there. And so the strategy might be to get that extra 40K from passive real estate investments, let's say, because you need your hours back to meet this picture that you've set up for yourself. So what you want to do in this scenario is you quite literally want to make sure that you have chosen solutions that match the reality you want long term and are realistic based on the gap and where you're at right now. So think about your next steps and get a friend to look at it. Get someone you trust who knows you, who knows your edges, knows the good things and the bad things about you, and will tell you straight. And you show them what you've done, or better still, do it with them. Do it with a trusted person. And go through the process and just really figure out, what you want, where you're at right now, what the distance is between the two, and what is your clearly defined strategy to get to the next. So I absolutely loved doing this with my friend. It was deeply insightful, got a lot of reconnection to myself and the reason why I'm here. I also got really clear on what my personal gaps are, where I need to upskill myself, where I need to learn more, where I need to embody more traits of other people that are fantastic at what they do, where I need to get some hard skills in terms of some of the leadership things that I'm working on right now. So for me, this was a fantastic exercise and I hope you really enjoy it. All you need is a big sheet of paper, some time, focus on you, design a life that serves you rather than you serving it.